Good evening and thank you for joining us. Today marked day 10 of the extortion trial against Keith and Marissa Hobbs and Mary Voss.
The Crown presented some of its most crucial evidence to date, evidence that came from Mary Voss herself. Ryan Bonazzo explains.
The Crown on Monday presented its most damning evidence yet against the three accused. It came during a second videotaped interview of Mary Voss by OPP Detective Inspector Martin Graham. It was noted during that interview that both Voss and Marissa Hobbs deleted a number of text and other messages from the time period where the extortion is alleged to have taken place. Although the Crown doesn't make any inference about the deleted texts, one chain of messages in particular, which was recovered from Mary Voss's phone, shows that Voss texted another person whose name can't be made public in November of 2016. Voss texts that the alleged victim is buying her a house and that he wants her to sign a document saying she won't go to the police. This after Voss told Graham during a previous interview that she didn't fully understand the purchase agreement. She said she just signed it without reading the document at the request of the alleged victim. The value of the house alluded to in that text was worth about $250,000. The person on the other end replied, quote, "Just a house, that's it?" The next day, Voss and Marissa Hobbs went to look at another house worth more than $400,000. During that same police interview, Voss seems to implicate Marissa Hobbs, telling Detective Inspector Graham that Hobbs told her, quote, "He has to buy you a house, you deserve better." But Voss notes that Hobbs told her all $250,000 homes are old and ugly. Voss says she should have put her foot down, but, quote, "Marissa is somebody who won't take no for an answer." Graham has suggested that the Hobbses wanted to borrow money from Voss and that she could have used the more expensive home as collateral for the bank. The Hobbses were in financial difficulty at the time. During that police interview, Graham asks Voss, "Do you not see how Marissa has used you?" To which Voss quietly replies, "I guess so." It should be noted that the defense has not yet cross-examined Detective Inspector Graham. Lawyer Brian Greenspan has suggested that he takes issue with how those police interviews were conducted. Ryan Bonazzo, TBT News.
A first report on Thunder Bay's program and service review will be presented to City Council tonight. Officials with Grant Thornton, the company tasked with conducting the review, will update councillors on Phase 1 of the project. They'll provide their overview of the 146 programs and services offered by the city. They're also expected to identify which of those areas should be subject to further scrutiny as part of Phase 2 of the review. Phase 2 is expected to be finished in June of next year. The Phase 1 report will be made available to the public through the city's website. Also tonight, Council will hear about some potential issues related to a proposed multi-use trail bridge at Vickers and Carrick Street. In Northwood, Councillor Shelby Chung wants the city to supply free menstrual products at libraries and rec centers.
2 people are dead following a head-on collision yesterday on Highway 17. According to the OPP, it happened around 7 o'clock just west of Wraith and involved 2 transport trucks. The crash left both vehicles engulfed in flames. The 2 drivers were pronounced dead at the scene. The collision forced a closure of the roadway that remained in effect as of late this afternoon. Identities of the victims have not yet been released.
Thunder Bay Police have recovered the 2 firearms connected to a pair of convenience store robberies in the city's south side this past weekend. One of the long-barreled guns used in Saturday's robbery of the Circle K on East Arthur Street was discarded by the 2 male suspects and later recovered by police. A second firearm used by 1 male suspect in Sunday night's robbery of the Circle K on South Waterloo Street was recovered later that night by task unit officers and a canine unit. The police say the guns are real and not replicas. Investigators have not yet tracked down the men involved, but they're connecting the dots between the 2 incidents.
Right now we're trying to determine if there's any linkages between the 2 cases. We're going to look at all avenues as we go through the investigation, looking at the video that was preserved for this, along with the weapons that were used. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but we take this very seriously and we'll investigate this to a conclusion.
West says the latest robberies are a product of the city's heightening drug market and crime index, and police are actively working to reduce these type of crimes.
OPP in Greenstone have arrested an 88-year-old Geraldton man in connection with a series of historic sexual assaults. The victim came forward in May with a complaint about incidents which occurred between 1971 and 1984. Henry Mackey has been charged with rape, sexual intercourse with a female under 14 years of age, and sexual intercourse with a female between 14 and 16. Mackey will appear in court to answer to the charges on January 9th.
Thunder Bay residents have until December 12th to comment on the potential establishment of a cannabis store in a strip mall on Memorial Avenue. The location across from Inner City Shopping Center was revealed in late October, but has not yet been approved by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission. A 15-day public notice period began late last week for the numbered company that's applied for the local license under the franchise name Tokyo Smoke. Several retail pot stores have already opened in Toronto under that name. The AGCO will consider comments around protecting public health, restricting youth access to cannabis, and preventing illicit activities. After the public notice period ends, the applicant will get a copy of any submissions and will have 5 days to respond. The AGCO would then make a decision on whether to allow the store to move ahead. The license holders have so far declined our requests for comment.
A little Christmas spirit rolled into Thunder Bay last night with the arrival of the CP holiday train. The train was greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of hundreds at the CP station on Syndicate Avenue. Thunder Bay is one of dozens of stops for the train across North America. Country artist Madeline Merlo and pop singer Scott Hellman gave a musical performance from a stage built onto one of the cars, a performance that got rave reviews from those in attendance.
What do you think is the best part of the holiday train?
The concert part. Well, you would see people in the windows and them waving, so it's pretty sick, actually.
On top of spreading Christmas cheer, the holiday train is also a fundraiser for local food banks. The Regional Food Distribution Association says they received well over a ton of non-perishable food items, as well as a $13,000 donation from CP Rail.
A Thunder Bay dentist recently took a trip down to Hollywood and hit the big time. Voyle Bagley was a contestant on the popular American game show The Price is Right. Bagley managed to take home quite the haul of prizes, and the episode was broadcasted this morning. Troy Charles has the story.
Voyle Bagley, come on down. You are the first 4 contestants on this special Cyber Monday episode of The Price is Right.
A trip between two couples that was 20 years in the making ended up working out better than anyone could have imagined. Voyle Bagley, his wife, and friends from Utah made the trek to Los Angeles for the sole purpose of getting on to The Price is Right. After some strategic planning for the contestant screening process, Bagley got to live out a lifelong dream.
$40, Voyle.
First, he successfully bid on a set of handbags to get on stage with Drew Carey. Then he narrowly lost out on a trip to Turks and Caicos playing the checkout game. On the big wheel, Bagley spun a 90 to make it to the Showcase Showdown. And that's where he ended up winning the grand prize, which included a new refrigerator, washer and dryer set, and a new car.
$38,549. Voyle, congratulations, buddy. Congratulations.
The total prize package is worth over $30,000. Amidst all the hoopla, Bagley was able to take a step back and let it all sink in.
I took in every moment. I mean, I really tried to just look around and look back at Matt and Camille and Melissa and take in the moment for what it was, which was, just pure happiness.
Bagley hosted a viewing party at his local dentist office for staff and friends to see. The episode was recorded back in early October, and he's had to keep the good news under wraps until now. Bagley says it was difficult to do at times, but there was a lot on the line.
After you win and you go sign paperwork to acknowledge your prizes, they hammer it into your head that if they catch word that you've been talking about it or if it hits social media, then they will withhold your prizes. So it made it easier to keep it quiet.
Bagley says the best part was watching the episode back with his children who were unaware of how he made out on the show. Perhaps passing his lifelong dream onto another generation. Troy Charles, TBT News.
Well, skiers and snowboarders were back in action on Mount Baldy this weekend for a slightly early start to the season on the hill. Ian Kaufman has that story.
Hundreds of people eagerly hit the slopes over the first weekend of skiing at Mount Baldy. Daniel Cardis is a co-owner of the hill along with his two brothers. He says snow crews were working hard to open the hill a few weeks earlier than average.
And we said we had to do it, and we did it yesterday. We opened up, and look at today. It's a beautiful day. How could you go wrong? Parking lot's packed, and people are having a blast.
Skiers had access to the Gold Run and Terrain Park this weekend. And though the weather hasn't been ideal, Cardis says they've been making snow for weeks and expect to open more runs soon.
It's been warm, but we're lucky we have these Lenco snow guns that actually make mass amount of snow in this weather. As you can see up the hill, they're still blasting, and it's warm outside. I'm in my shirt, so I'll go push those around in a bit, and hopefully next weekend we'll have some more runs open.
The hill's new quad chairlift won't be installed until spring, but in the meantime, skiers can ride the T-bar to the top or hop in one of 3 snow taxis, which can carry up to 6 people at a time. Ian Kaufman, TBT News.
It's another sign that winter weather has arrived. City residents can now lace up their skates and hit the ice at Prince Arthur's Landing on the waterfront. The converted splash pad was frozen over and open for public use over the weekend, and a number of kids took advantage of the free ice late this afternoon. The rink's opening marks the beginning of a fun-filled winter schedule at Prince Arthur's Landing. Winter Fun Days are set to return every Sunday from December 22nd to March 8th with weekly activities for family and friends. In the meantime, skaters are free to use the public rink every day from 11 in the morning until 9 at night, so long as weather permits.
His life may have ended too soon, but his legacy continues to grow. Today, the family of Daryl Stubbings announced that his summer memorial golf tournament has raised its highest total yet for mental health initiatives. The Stubbings family presented the local Canadian Mental Health Association chapter with a check for over $34,000. That money was raised at the 3rd annual golf fundraiser on September 14th. Association CEO Jennifer Hislop says the donation is key to funding local mental health awareness efforts. Daryl Stubbings died by suicide in 2011. His brother Jeff says the family wanted to turn his story into a positive force in the community.
We want these conversations to happen. We want the stigma around mental health to go away. And every year we want to feel like we're making strides towards having that happen.
By them sharing Daryl's story and talking about, his story ended too soon, I think that it's really, really helping other folks and families talk more about suicide and, not being afraid to ask the questions.
Over its 3 years, the golf tournament has raised a total of $80,000. The family plans to continue growing the event and have already set a date for next year.
If you plan on getting some Christmas shopping done this week, the Victoriaville Center has more than its usual offerings. The 19th annual Holiday Arts, Crafts, and Vendors Show kicked off this morning. The show is going on all week with up to 150 vendors setting up shop over the course of the event. Vendors from Thunder Bay and surrounding areas will have booths set up, with others traveling here from as far south as London. With so many vendors, the show offers a variety of things to buy.
Gifts, they have moccasins, they have leathers, blankets, unique crafts to the Indigenous as well as local crafts.
The Arts and Crafts Show runs each day from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon and wraps up on Saturday.
Well, if you're up early this morning,